All right, let's get into it. This big question, right? How are these AI tools thinking about Windsurf, Cursor, Cline?
Yeah.
How are they actually going to, shake things up for software development jobs? If you're in this field, you've definitely heard the chatter, maybe even felt a little anxiety about it all.
Absolutely. There's a lot of buzz, some hype, maybe some fear, too.
Exactly. But look, we're not here for the hype machine or, the doom and gloom. This is about being practical. We want to really drill down into these 3 specific tools, Windsurf, Cursor, Cline, and see what they actually do.
Yeah, let's park the sci-fi stuff for a moment. These are real tools. You can use them now. We need a clear look at what they can do, and just as important, what they can't do. Their limits.
Okay, so let's introduce the players. First, Windsurf.
Right.
The idea here is you describe what you need in, plain English. Like maybe you'd say, hey, write me a function, calculates the average of numbers in a list, and make sure it doesn't crash if the list is empty.
Handles the edge cases.
Yeah. And Windsurf's thing is generating that code, the promise, speed, potentially getting features built way faster, cutting down on writing all that, like standard boilerplate code developers do over and over.
It's very much focused on that initial feature implementation, isn't it? Like taking a specific requirement and turning it into a code snippet fast.
Exactly. That's Windsurf. Okay, then there's Cursor. Now, Cursor is a bit different. Think of it more like an AI assistant or a buddy that's actually inside your code editor, your IDE.
Integrated, yeah.
Right, it's there while you're working, suggesting code completions, maybe spotting bugs before you even hit run.
That's a big one.
Definitely. Helping you clean up your code refactoring, right?
Yeah.
Or even just explaining a confusing piece of code someone else wrote so it actually makes sense. It's sort of like having a really experienced programmer just, looking over your shoulder.
And the key there, I think, is the integration. It's not a separate thing you have to context switch to. It's meant to enhance your existing workflow, make you more productive where you already are.
Makes sense. Okay, third one, Cline. C-L-I-N-E. This one takes us into DevOps territory, development operations, infrastructure.
The back-end stuff.
Yeah, all that essential, but sometimes pretty tedious work, like deploying your app, making sure it can handle more users, scaling it up, setting up monitoring to catch problems.
CI/CD pipelines, too.
Right, managing those CI/CD pipelines, maybe even figuring out why your infrastructure just went sideways.
Yeah.
Cline's goal is basically to automate a lot of that, freeing up developers from managing servers and configs all day.
Which lets them focus more on the actual application logic, theoretically. It's applying AI to manage that often quite complex infrastructure side of things, streamlining delivery.
Okay, so those are the 3. Now, quick reality check. What this deep dive is not about. We are not getting into, AI consciousness debates or the deep philosophy of it all.
Definitely not today. Maybe another time.
Maybe. But for now, we're focused laser sharp on the practical side. Lines of code, bugs fixed, deployments managed, and what does this mean for your actual job, for salaries?
Yeah, the tangible stuff. How does this affect a developer's day-to-day? That's the lens we need.
And it's really important to say this isn't some simple AI comes in, jobs go poof situation.
That's way too simplistic.
It's much more nuanced.
Definitely. I mean, sure, some repetitive tasks, the kind of code you write almost on autopilot, maybe those get heavily automated. But we're probably going to see new roles too, right? People building these AIs, training them, figuring out how best to actually use them in our workflows.
It really looks more like a collaboration model developing, a symbiosis maybe between human developers and AI tools, each playing to their strengths.
You can sort of picture it, can't you? Like a junior dev uses Windsurf to quickly mock up a feature.
Gets a first draft going.
While the senior devs tackle the really complex architecture problems, or maybe a senior engineer uses Cursor to hunt down a really nasty bug way faster.
Frees up time for optimization, perhaps.
Exactly. And maybe whole teams spend way less time on DevOps stuff, thanks to Cline, so they can focus more on, building cooler features for users. Yeah, those are the potential benefits across different roles. Augmentation, not just replacement.
But okay, potential is one thing. To really understand the real impact, we need a way to evaluate these tools properly. Beyond just the initial, wow, that's cool factor.
We need a framework, something structured.
Precisely. So we've boiled it down to 6 key areas. These are going to be our evaluation criteria as we go through this series, looking at Windsurf, Cursor, and Cline. Think of them as our lenses for analysis.
Right. This helps us move past just talking about it and actually measure things, compare them.
Okay, first lens, code quality. This is fundamental, right? If the AI generates or suggests code, it has to be good.
Absolutely non-negotiable.
So is it readable, maintainable long-term? Does it actually work correctly? How does it handle weird situations, those edge cases? Does it introduce security flaws? Does it follow, good coding practices?
And how does it stand up to testing, to human code review? Because that's still crucial.
Totally. If the code's a buggy mess or impossible to update later, then, well, what's the point?
Exactly. Quality first.
Second lens, speed and efficiency is a big part of the promise, isn't it? Doing things faster.
The productivity boost.
So we'll be asking, how much time do these tools actually save? On coding, debugging, deployment, we need metrics here, like lines of code per hour maybe, or how fast can you fix bugs with AI help? How often can teams ship updates?
Yeah, quantifying that is key. Does it really move the needle on development velocity?
Third, cost effectiveness. Obvious one for businesses. Do these tools pay for themselves?
The ROI, yeah.
We need to look at the subscription costs, any other expenses, and weigh that against the productivity gains, the faster releases. And don't forget training costs, getting developers skilled up to use these things effectively.
That just doesn't work. Does it make financial sense?
Yeah, crucial. Okay, fourth, and this one's huge today, security.
Cannot emphasize this enough.
Right. Application security is everything. So how do these AI tools affect the security of the software we build? Do they accidentally create new holes? Or maybe can they actually help find existing vulnerabilities?
Yeah, can they assist with security audits? How would they fare in, say, a pen test?
We need to be really careful that adopting these tools doesn't make our applications less secure.
Definitely. It has to be a net positive or at least neutral on the security front.
Fifth lens, learning curve and adaptability. How easy is it for a developer to actually start using these things well?
The onboarding experience.
And how well do they slot into existing workflows? The tools teams already use. We need to look at actual developer feedback here. How usable are they?
And can they adapt to different team coding styles, different project needs? Flexibility matters.
Yeah, if it's a nightmare to integrate or learn, adoption's going to be slow.
Or it just won't happen. Needs to be relatively seamless.
Okay, and finally, sixth, adaptability and future-proofing. Tech changes constantly.
Faster and faster, it feels like.
It does. So how well can these AI models keep up? Can they handle new programming languages, new frameworks as they pop up? What about updates from the companies making them? Are they committed long-term?
We need to look at their roadmaps, their plans for improvement. You don't want to invest time learning a tool that becomes obsolete in a year.
Exactly. Is this tool going to grow with the industry, or is it a dead end? Future-proofing is key.
That ability to evolve alongside the tech landscape is critical for sustained value.
So there we have it. That's our initial look at Windsurf, Cursor, and Cline, and the six big areas we'll be using to really assess them: code quality, speed and efficiency, cost, security, learning curve, and future-proofing.
It's a solid framework to guide us.
Yep. And over the next few deep dives, we're going to zoom in on each tool, starting with Windsurf next time, and really apply this framework, put them through their paces.
Right. Next up is Windsurf specifically. We'll dig into its code generation. How good is it? How fast? What are the trade-offs when you ask it to write code from just, a natural language prompt?
Should be interesting. So yeah, make sure you join us for that as we get into the weeds with Windsurf.
Definitely. And, something for you listening to maybe think about until then, as AI gets more and more woven into how we build software, what skills, what fundamental abilities do you think will remain absolutely essential for developers? What becomes more valuable, perhaps?
Good question. The human element, right? Worth pondering.